To introduce to you a distinguished panel on this Christmas Day. First, I'd like to introduce a very, very distinguished Nigerian here, and it's my pleasure to welcome to this program His Eminence, John Cardinal Onaiyekan. Eminence, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Via. God bless you all, and Merry Christmas.
Yes, and may we also at this point just say congratulations on your elevation.
Thank you, and we thank God.
Right. We're also joined tonight by Sheikh Muhammad Nuru Khalid, Chief Imam of Apo Legislative Quarters Mosque. Sheikh, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you very much, and compliment for the seasons.
Same to you. Let me also welcome to this program Apostle Eunice Gordon Osagede, General Overseer, Spirit and Life Bible Church Worldwide, and President Godhead Prayer Ministries. She is the initiator of Women in the New Nigeria. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Compliments of the season.
Same to you. We'll get to find out, this initiative about women in the new Nigeria, how relevant it is to what we're discussing tonight. But here also tonight is Mr. Erekosima Onengia, Coordinator, Foundation for Peace and Nonviolence. Mr. Onengia, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. And our usual stakeholders corner. Very much we have that here tonight, and at the appropriate time we'll go over to the stakeholders corner and see if we can get to hear more views, comments and questions. I'd like to say compliments of the season. Merry Christmas to you all there.
Same to you.
Okay, and yes, we'll talk about that at the end of the program. And of course at that time we do hope that our phone lines will be working, and that means you can also get to join in the discussion here in the studio. Once again, welcome to NTA Tuesday Live. Let's begin from the very beginning. Your Eminence, it's Christmas, and this is a period for goodwill, peace, and love. And a country today is going through the throes of disharmony in some parts of it. Let's look at that against this period, what this period signifies for us.
Thank you very much, Cyril. And I'd like to congratulate NTA for staging this kind of discussion at this time on Christmas night, after the period of worship in the morning, the period of enjoyments in the afternoon. And I think it's right that now in the evening we should settle down and reflect seriously. If we are going to deal with the issue of peace in Nigeria, we will really need to work together from different angles, from different perspectives, and different faiths, different competencies, because the issue of peace is very complex, and it's getting more and more complex in our nation. Maybe as the discussion goes on, we'll have time to clarify one or two points.
All right, thank you, Eminence. Okay. Let's go over to Sheikh Muhammad Nuru Khalid, Chief Imam of the Apo Legislative Mosque, Legislative Quarters Mosque. Now here we are at Christmas, and generally it's a season of peace and goodwill. Let's hear your opening comments as what you feel reflecting on Nigeria today, and as some sections of the country are celebrating, peace and looking at how the country is in today.
Well, to me, I will start by saying, and peace be unto me the day I was born, and the day I shall live, and the day I shall die. And that is a comment recorded in the Quran and attributed to Jesus Christ when he was born. It is there in the Quran, and therefore we consider his coming to this world as a source for peace. And we believe that all Christians, if they are going to walk according to his teachings, we are going to have peace in the world, because they will work for peace. And also we believe that as Muslims, if we can work together with the Christians to promote peace, harmony, and tolerance in the world, it's going to work. That is my belief.
Thank you, Sheikh. Well, Apostle Eunice Gordon Osagidi, this is a period, and you also run Women in the New Nigeria, yes, which I understand draws its membership from different faiths, which is not a, and this period, especially in Nigeria's history, how significant is that?
Well, I want to just, appreciate God Almighty for what the initiative has been able to accomplish in the past 2 years of its birth. It is truly an interfaith, non-governmental, non-political women organization that goes along with our youths. And I want to say that it's been very heartwarming to know that, Muslim and Christian women can come together. We have two patrons. We have Mitama Sule from Kano. We have Chief Edwin Clark from the Delta. And we've been working very quietly across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country because we didn't want to be misunderstood as a political group. And so we have focused in the past 2 years with grassroots empowerment, change of mindset, reorientation of our values. And we'll be doing a lot in the area of trying to give our people a new perspective to the better of a new nation. The whole idea is, a dream of an egalitarian society where there's unity and peace. We look at motherhood as a very strong affection for our nation. And we believe that, the repentance should be very personal. It should begin from our households and our children and with mothers, looking out for husbands and children and youths and our daughters. We believe strongly that that's such an enduring victory. As an intercessor for the nation, the Lord stirred my heart 2009, even as a pastor of a church. And God, just showed me the devastation coming in our nation in the vision of the night. And the Lord told me, this is going to be an out-of-church walk. I need to come out of the church and get our Muslim mothers together. And I think I spent the first 1 year trying to win the hearts of my sisters who are Muslims. And I want to say that I had 100% cooperation from them. It's been very great. It's been such a blessing. And that is why we have 2 elder statesmen, not politicians, as our patrons. And their voices speak, their love speaks. And I want to say it's a very quiet but powerful group. We're very encouraged to see our young youths too, who are interfaith, coming together, having programs together. When you see some of our programs, like our skill acquisition programs for the grassroots, we deal with the indigent members of the nation, and we're all volunteering. We don't have anybody supporting. We don't have any groups bringing in money to the groups. We're just stakeholders as mothers.
Okay.
When you see us doing that, it's such a blessing to see the unity coming up. It's a growing group, and I know that the hand of the Lord is mighty.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. We'll come to you again, but let's go over to Rekosima Onegia, Coordinator of Foundation for Peace and Nonviolence.
Yeah. I want to really thank you for this program. The foundation I head, I'm the president of the foundation. We believe that Nigeria is in a generational change, not a rebranding. But on this day of Christmas, like Isaiah would say in Isaiah 9:6, that unto us a child is born and a son is given. And he said, the government shall be upon his shoulder. We are saying the time for change is to recognize where the government stands. The time for change, the Bible goes down to explain him as the Prince of Peace. And we are saying for a generational change, we must allow the Prince of Peace to head the way. We will explain that. We will make you understand where we're actually going to. Because this is not going to be in any effort of any man. People are saying, people are praying, people do all those things, yes. But it's not going to be in the effort of any man, because no man should take the glory. What is happening in our nation today, in this generation, is that God wants to take us to the next level. Okay. God is saying, in every crisis, his glory will be seen. If Nigerians can see the glory in the crisis we have, we will get to the next stage. Okay. That's what God is saying. And by the grace of God, we will get there, because for NTA to have even called us to discuss this matter, it means God is taking us somewhere.
Okay. Thank you very much. So let's begin to look at some of these issues, because it would seem that there's no question that Nigerians want to live in a peaceful society and carry on. But things have not exactly gone that way, and we've had to witness challenges in the history of the country. Now we're beginning to see so many challenges which are confusing to quite a number of Nigerians. I'm wondering, where did we lose it, especially in crises that have undertones of religion, politics?
Look at it.
Right. There's an economic angle to all of this, you know, and if people are not empowered, if people can't fend for themselves. You know, the old saying that a hungry man is an angry man. Mm-hmm. And no matter how much you dialogue and talk, a man who's not had food in his stomach, well, he probably is not listening to you. And this anger can manifest in so many ways. Let's look at that angle too.
Well, I have listened to my elders. I want to thank God for my elders. But the truth of the matter is we talk like men. Men. This thing is about God. The Christians and the Muslims don't have any problem anywhere. Anywhere in Nigeria, show me where Christians or Muslims are fighting. Just show me one. There is no one. Why are we talking as if we're fighting? The issue is very clear. We're at an edge where we should change. I'm not talking about just changing of hearts. The system must change. I will give you a story, then you tell me why we can't change. I was Alhaji Asari Dokubo's spokesman when he was in prison. And I gave the first 24 hours deadline to the government that we must hear from Asari. When they took him out of Port Harcourt. And the next day, clocking the 24 hours, all of his generals came around me, waiting to hear from him, otherwise they were going to do so many things. And by the grace of God, the commissioner of police then called me and said, please talk to Asari. I talked to him, and because at that time, I have been in charge, the command I had to tell the people was that they should go to the street and spoil things. And I told them, no. They said we should not do anything. So we control that. Okay. When I went to Lagos, the OPC in Lagos, they have already held Lagos ransom for about 2 days. And I told them, they called me and said, look, you are Asari spokesman, we must talk to you. Why must they arrest him? If they arrest him, they will arrest so many other people. I said, look, if you want to hold everywhere to ransom, let me ask you one question. You're a Muslim. You're a Christian. You're from the Niger Delta. All of us are all here. If they now give everybody gun that you should kill somebody, you want to hold Nigeria to ransom because they have arrested an Asari, who are you going to kill? They did not answer. They could not answer. I told them they were a non-violent group. The problem is not who or where. It's not Christian or Muslim. The problem is the system.
Okay.
That is what we should talk about. Okay. It is the system that we will correct. We should not give an impression as if Christians are fighting or Northerners are. We are not fighting. Give me one instance.
Okay. Yes, if we tie that to what Nigeria has been talking about, there's need for change, and even our communication systems too would have to change those. So it's not just one system; it's virtually all the systems. But people have suggested, Your Eminence, that there are certain core values that, as a people, Nigerians had, and if there was relative calm and relative peace and tolerance in the past, it was because they held firm to those core values, and over time those values have been eroded, and they talk about greed, and so we're saying if anything must change, fundamentally must start to go back to those core values that were that held us in good stead in the past.
Core values are always core. If they are core values, then they are always there. Core values don't disappear. It is human beings who ignore them for whatever reason. And the sad part of the situation in Nigeria is that at least traditionally one expects the elders to be the custodians of core values. But when you look around and find that that it is elders who are actually destroying those core values, you mentioned greed. Who are the most greedy? And you see, when somebody is not satisfied with stealing $10 million, is a greed that has reached the stage of sickness. And we are seeing this all around. So I don't think that we have problem identifying what the core values are. And incidentally, any core value is universal. It's not just a Nigerian core value. We who belong to religions that are worldwide know very well that what we call core values are core values for everybody. They are valid for both Christians and Muslims. They are valid for Nigerians and for Americans. Meaning honesty, concern for people, especially the needy, fairness in dealing with one another, contentment with where you are, those kind of things. And of course, I will have belief in God and realizing the limitedness of our human existence. You have to put all this into the picture. But I want to react to my sister's point, which is, I think, is very true. When I said that it isn't as if things have been going well until now. She highlighted it because people have been pushed generally. We are pushing young people more and more to the wall. Let's say there's a lot of anger out there. And I'm not sure those who are ruling us are aware of it. The only time they're aware of it is when your friends begin to shoot, or when Boko Haram begin to shoot, and they think this is just coming out of the blues. They are not coming out of the blues. The fact that others are keeping quiet doesn't mean that they are satisfied. And I think this is the whole point. Are we really facing it? System, yes. But every system still will require human beings to run it.
Okay.
And we are just talking general, right?
Okay, Matthew from Mina is on the line. Matthew, go ahead.
Good evening.
Matthew, let's see if we can get Matthew on.
Hello.
Yes, hello, go ahead, please.
Good evening. This is Matthew from
Yes, please go ahead with your question or comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, I want to really appreciate the program. I want to push my question to the Imam.
Okay.
Okay.
The studio. I think if we really want to promote peace in this country, we have to really promote inter-religious marriage. I think with that alone, they can live as one. Because in Nigeria today, most especially to the Muslim people, most like Christians are considered to be an arena. And which does not work in the system. How can somebody be referred to be an unbeliever because he's a Christian? With that alone, you are discriminating your fellow human because he's practicing another religion and you are practicing another. It is not welcome. How is it possible, Imam, if religious harmony will be promoted through inter-religious marriage? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Matthew. Right?
Yes, I did hear him asking about the Muslims addressing fellow human beings or Nigerians as unbelievers because they don't believe in their own religion.
Right.
I think I've mentioned 4 things that we lack in Nigeria. And one of them is tolerance. If I am not okay with your language and I tolerate it and interpret it the way it will suit my mind so that we will live in peace, I think I will have no problem with you. The issue of calling someone unbeliever, it is a term used to refer to somebody who does not believe in a system. The system or the faith we have as Muslims, Islam, if the Quran use the term unbeliever, it does not refer it to somebody who does not believe in God or in the angels or in the books or in the day of judgment, but often referred to someone who does not believe in Islam. But addressing Christians and the Jews as unbelievers, I agree it is wrong for somebody who is living in the midst of Christians and the Jews, because there is another term used by the Quran to address them, that is the people of the book. The Christians are considered to be very close to Muslims according to the Quran, because if you look at the Quran, you find the Quran giving two names to those who are not in the Islamic system, that is the unbelievers and the people of the book. So as for me, I will not address a Christian as an unbeliever. I will call him a person of the book. The book here is referring to the book he is holding in his hand. The Holy Bible is being considered as originally originated from the Almighty, sent down to Jesus Christ, and the one Elias sent to Moses. So you see, if you can tolerate those who cannot differentiate between a Christian and an unbeliever who is not a member of the any faith, then you have a problem of intolerance, and that is one of the problems that we are having in Nigeria. Thank you for calling.
Okay, we have another call from Divine from Lagos. Divine, go ahead if you're still with us.
Good day. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Sir, please, I want to contribute to this program. All right, I want to be support to the founder of the non-violent president.
Okay, that's
the problem of this life.
Oh dear, the line is gone. Well, I'm sorry, Divine, you might have to call back. Bit of a scrambling there. Having challenges with the communication system. Not our fault here, but I was going to ask something to do with the Foundation for Peace and Nonviolence, but we might just get him back to speak to us. And now, are the leaders doing enough? You know, we've talked about the role of the leaders, and of course the followers also have a role, but are the leaders doing enough to make sure that the followers, you know, go along the right path? Or are the leaders fanning the embers of divisions? And when I say leaders, they may be religious leaders, they may be political leaders, they may be economic leaders. Sorry. Yes, please.
Yes, well, I want to say that no, the leaders are not sensitive, they're not empathic, and that's why I say that you know, the average Nigerian is getting tired. There's a lot of self-seeking, there's a lot of greed, there's a lot of impersonal attitude towards, you know, one another. When you see other nations and you feel the pulse of, you know, consensual service, you really see that our people really need to have a change of heart. All leaders. It's time for leaders to truly live by example. When we look at the, you know, economic nation, you know, situation of our country, for example, it's just so unfair to think that the average Nigerian cannot feed. Such a pain. You feel it. As you know, you see the way the leaders have abandoned the people. When you think about the squalor, the greed and the covetousness in the land, a nation so endowed, you just wonder why, you know, over the years, people have continuously, as leaders, taken the generality of Nigerians for granted. You know, it's a pain because we're very intelligent people, and we know how to travel away to different nations. We see the beauty, we see everything. The average Nigerian is so intelligent. And I believe that, you know, leaders who want to change, they can prefer change. If they want to prefer change, they can get it done. But it's just the greed and the covetousness, you know, the insincerity, the lack of concern. And for example, look at the educational system. It's a pain to think that many of us over the years, we didn't have to leave this country to school. We got what it took. Our forefathers did a great job, my dear. They did a great job. And I believe that the insincerity and the insensitivity of leadership is really the pain of our crisis.
Okay, we have this call from Lagos. You might have to introduce yourself. I don't think I can really get your name here, but just go ahead and you're on and try to introduce yourself so we know who's calling. Hello. Do we still have that caller on the line? No, I think not. I think not. You might have to call back. Yes, Anagia. Yes.
About the leaders.
Yes.
I will still go back to the fault of our generation. Who is the leader?
Right. You might have leaders, even among...
we are all leaders.
Yeah.
We must stand out and accept this defeat that is defeating us, so that we understand where we're going to. When we talk about leaders, I look at people pointing fingers in all of these things, and I feel very sad. We don't need to point fingers. My Bible says all things work together for good to them that love God. What I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to see in all of these things is what is good inside. We talked about leaders. When we had crisis in the Niger Delta, young men were killing themselves. And people said it was a struggle. There was a Cold War, and you said you're fighting Nigeria. There was a superiority power. Young men were killing, people were kidnapping, and you said it is because of resource control. These things were not true. Now the Niger Delta is even getting back to where we intended that God will save us from. Because we are not true to ourselves. We need God. We need to come back to God. The people must rise up and say no to violence. Then these things will end. But we are saying, look, there is a way, there is a map, man. We have brought out, when we started, we came with one sheet of paper. I still have one here. We came with one sheet of paper. God said, use this, don't change it. And we are saying to Nigeria today, look, give us 1 year. Listen to us. This is television. We may not say everything we ought to say. Give us 1 year. We will remove all the illegal guns in this country. Why would any group of persons be bigger than the country? Why would anybody be bigger than the state? Why would anybody be bigger than the nation? No matter the name, whether you call you MEND, whether they call you Boko Haram, no matter what they called you. But we are saying, look, these people were pushed to the world. The system created these people. Politicians, Christian, Muslims, we created these things we are into. We must start again. God is saying to us that our strength is in our ability to forgive. But now Nigeria, we have turned it the other way around. Instead of the human security, we send army, we send police, we are intimidated every day, and we are made less human. We are fighting war with ourselves. A house divided against itself, it cannot stand. So we are saying, let's go back to where this thing started. Where did it all start? There was slackness. There were things that were not done properly. Let's give a grace. Let Nigeria be sorry. Let the system be sorry. Then we will tell you that in less than 1 year, we will forget in a hurry what has happened in this country. We said it to Niger Delta. We said, give us 6 months. The peace you would see in the Niger Delta, you won't believe it. They gave us 2 months. We're working on it. We're managing it. It's getting back there. But we pray that Nigeria and the system and this generation will listen to the voice of God. We're talking about the voice of God. What we are doing is not man, it's God.
All right, Rabiu from Port Harcourt, you're on. Let's hear you. Rabiu from Port Harcourt.
evening, Mr. Phil.
Good evening.
From this evening.
Right, thank you.
I would like to add a little bit contribution to what the last man just said now. That's the problem we are having in this.
Yes, go on, please. Hello. Hello. Rabi, are you still there? No, I think not. Lines are really poor today. Well, in all of this, Your Eminence, how have those who realize what the problem is, how have they risen up to the challenge?
From the trend of our discussion, I think it is quite clear that we are dealing with a very complex situation. And I think we ought to realize that there's not one single solution to this problem. And that is why each one should try and find out where can I make the most effective contribution. We cannot simply say that Christians and Muslims are not fighting. There is a religious dimension to the problem on our hands. We cannot deny it. Only last night, a church was attacked in Yobe, and 6 people killed, including the pastor, a quack church. No matter how you say it, people, those looking at it outside Nigeria, see it clearly as religious.
Yes.
I got phone calls from Italy, from France, on this particular thing that happened last night, which I didn't even know about. This is interesting. The first time I was hearing about it, at 6 o'clock this afternoon, this evening, was a call from abroad, saying, Cardinal, what do you say about the violence last night? I said, which violence? And I looked very stupid, because all throughout the night I was busy doing my work as a bishop. I didn't sit down to look at any news. Anyway, what I'm trying to make is that the issue of peace has different dimensions, and in Nigeria especially, that there's a political dimension which must be faced. Then obviously, there's obviously the security dimension. We cannot tell the soldiers to put down their guns and everything will be okay, while some people are still carrying around guns. There is the economic dimension, which we have mentioned, poverty, and there is the religious dimension, which for me I think is a very important one, because it is through the religious dimension that you can talk to the spirit and the heart of people.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we are not pursuing these different angles vigorously enough, and above all, we don't seem to have a way of putting them together and coordinate them as a national response to the problem we have on our hands. As a bishop, I see my own position more in the religious dimension, and I try my best, but I realize how limited my efforts are. I believe, of course, it's God who will do whatever will be done, but God also expects us to play our own little part. Let me add one point, if I can. This whole question of whether somebody is a non-believer or a believer. I believe everybody is a believer in something.
Yes.
So you were quite sure that when you say non-believer in Islam, you mean somebody who doesn't believe in Islam. I too, anybody who doesn't believe in Christianity, I consider him a non-believer. In fact, my church in the olden days used to consider anybody who was not a Catholic. You were either a heretic, means you were a Christian but not a Catholic, or you were an infidel, that means you were not a Christian. Now, we don't use those terminologies anymore because they are not helpful.
Yes.
They are not helpful. We need to mind the kind of labels we use for one another, especially in a place like Nigeria. I will not meet a Baptist pastor or an Anglican archbishop and say, you heretic. It doesn't make sense anymore in our days. And I would suggest seriously to my brother to look seriously at this whole idea and realize that labels make a lot of
impact.
When you have, if you had a totally Islamic world, you can say whatever you like there. Just like we said whatever we like when we had a completely Catholic world in Europe of those days. Today, we don't talk that way anymore because we meet people and what you say reflects, and those are the things that create the atmosphere of distrust and builds intolerance I have something to say about tolerance because I don't like that word. Don't tolerate me, please. Just accept me. I don't want to be tolerated.
Yes.
Because tolerance already means that it's something you really don't want. And we should be moving in this direction.
We have Jibril from Mina who's on the line. Not the one in the studio. This one is calling in from Mina. So Jibril, go ahead. Go ahead. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Cyril.
Okay, yes, go ahead. Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead.
Hello?
Can you just go on quickly
Hello?
before the line goes?
It's not hearing you.
Hello?
Okay, you can't hear us. Okay, well, Jibril. Hello? Well, we've lost that Jibril from Mina. We'll have to make do with the Jibril in the studio so, so we can get it. Yes. All right. Well, now, some people have said that when you refer to the religious dimension, for instance, some people have said that religious preachers should be licensed so as to know what they're preaching, to know what kinds of things they're saying. Do you subscribe to that?
I fully subscribe to that because taking my point from the correction my eminence wants to do right now,
yes.
that we change our terminologies.
Yes.
If there is a body
Yes.
that is looking on how the Muslims
Yes.
preach,
Yes.
and it may have some kind of governmental support, or it could be a governmental body that will have a kind of a council of ulamas that will look into how we address some people who are not in our system, and how we will promote the interests of Nigeria and create patriotism in the minds of Muslims. And in the part of the churches, we have the same thing. I think it's going to help us a way forward, more than just to sit down and think that I will change my words myself and other will not change.
Okay, we have Khalifa from Abuja. Khalifa, let's hope that you can get through to us. Khalifa, go ahead if you can hear us.
Mr. Sirestova, compliment for the city.
Hello.
My regard to everybody in this program.
Right, thanks. Yes, we can hear you clearly.
I would like to give my own contribution. My honorable chef there, Chef Khalid, who is an illustry, although we don't know his past ending, talk something about terrorism. I would like to give an example of Sirestova himself. As an organizer of this program. Mr. Sirestova, who was born in Plateau, brought up in Plateau, and now look, we are seeing the useful part of him in Nigeria. Look at me. A product of Professor University Riyadh. I was born in Jos, brought up in Jos. My father was killed in Jos during the Christian-Muslim fight at Tudunwada. Who else is when I now, it's very so bad not having the issue of feeding this country. If somebody like this will contain anything like this, and people will not back him, I will feel bad about it because I know it is out of the time. But if somebody like Khalifa, when they say anything in title, it will be simply discriminated just because Khalifa is a Muslim. And you're talking about tolerance. Second example, I'm in the NLP quarter During Eid al-Kabir, I gave food to some of my neighbors. In my presence, my children were seeing the Christians that took my food to their feet. And during this Christmas period, I'm at home exhausted. Nobody gave me a single right. Not even to talk on minerals. How can we love each other?
Right.
This is my question to Honorable Sheikh Khalil and Mr. Unai. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much. Well, yeah, I guess it was the end of it all. I guess he mentioned something about during his own festivity, he gave food to his neighbors, and something like they threw it in his very presence. They threw it away. Yeah. Now it's Christmas, and none of those around have, even offered him any. And in a situation like that, how can we love one another, and how can we live?
The question to me.
All right. We would like our panelists to comment on that, because he raised the question and said, how can we live in peace? How can we love one another? At a point he mentioned Sheikh, so maybe we would ask you to take the lead in addressing that. Okay.
As a Muslim, I will ask him to refer this problem to the Quran, because the Quran has told us that idfa billati hiya ahsan fa idha alladhi baynaka wa baynahu adawatun ka'annahu waliyyun hamim. Try to react to bad things with good things, so that the one that between you and him there is enmity shall now turn to be your friend. So now, the person who did not give you and destroyed the one that you have given him, try and give him next time. Maybe there is a fear in his heart that you are going to poison him. At little by little, you will destroy that fear from him and inculcate in him the love we are urging. The test of that love is here in us, and we are saying it from our spirit that we want to create that love in Nigeria. And secondly, those who killed your father, you can identify them. If you keep on remembering what the Quran has told you, that وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا, do not say to those who were killed unjustly on the way of Allah are dead. They are alive with their Lord, and He will be taking care of them. Take this into account and forget about it, and try to see the future of Nigeria. Your children that you have made mention about, try to tell them to forget that destruance of the food that they have seen. Let them not keep it in their mind, so that we see a better tomorrow. Because if you don't act this way, we are trying to create an atmosphere where, subhanallah, God forbid, we don't like it, Nigeria will be another Somalia. We don't like that. We don't want Nigeria to be a war field. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your Eminence, your reaction to a situation like that.
I would like to find out what is the kind of relationship between this man and his Christian neighbors. The Christian neighbor who collected the food and threw it in the waste paper basket in his presence. You know, people don't just start taking food from one another if there was no kind of good rapport between them beforehand. So it must be that their relationship was actually strained already. And in such a way that giving food didn't make any sense. Similarly, I'm not surprised that they didn't give him food during Christmas, because if they didn't accept his food at Eid al-Kabir, it means they don't believe that there is enough relationship between us to start exchanging food. In which case, they will not do it. I'm saying it looks logical to me, not right, but simply logical. And that what should be worrying all of us here on this panel is that when we begin to see these kind of instances where neighbors can no longer exchange food, it is serious. It is serious. Whether it is for religious reason, for ethnic reason, for whatever reason, which means the children cannot go and eat in one another's house. So we are passing on the hatred to the other, to the second, to the new generation coming. I remember telling some journalists in Rome during my installation, because there was a press conference, that when I said, what is worrying me is not so much the number of people that terrorists have killed in Nigeria, even though that is serious. But what is worrying me is that the terrorists are killing our good relationship. And that is even more serious. The terrorists, by their activities, are making it more and more difficult for us to relate to one another, which is one more reason why we must face the issue of the terrorism and eliminate it. This is an example. This is an example.
All right, time for us to go over to the stakeholders, and let's get to hear what they have for us here tonight.
My name is Madina Azaki. I write for today's African News magazine. I want to tell Jibrin that Obevia is not patient as he thinks that he is, because his chickens had a prison break this morning. So, and all the chicken escaped. So he had no chicken for Christmas. But I know that is an excuse, because he doesn't want to give me a share of that for it. But let me start by congratulating His Eminence on your recent elevation. I guess it was a fulfilling a moment for you. You know, our generation is very proud of you and His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto. I think you are two exceptional leaders who have been fostering peaceful coexistence, and you do that with all the unprecedented humility you have and the open door policy. You know, observers said that when you were president, that you and the Sultan of Sokoto had a harmonious relationship. There was so much synergy and there was so much collaboration, and you know, things worked out because you understand yourselves very well, and then you have like minds. But let me disagree with you that we do not have religious crisis in this country. What we have is the political crisis. The politicians are our main problem. My friends call me from Lagos because I was born and brought up in Lagos, and they said, you these bloody northerners, will you just sit down and watch your region being destroyed? Why is it that it is only in the north that a mosque is being bombed or a church is being bombed? And then you get to hear stories where you find out that Christians bomb their own churches because maybe they had an issue with the pastor. And you get to also hear stories where Muslims also bomb their mosques because they had issues with their imam and all of that. So our problem is the political class. We do not have any religious crisis. And you know, people said it is all a calculation against 2015. Some people want to remain beyond 2015, and they feel that the only way they can achieve that is, you know, to muzzle and cripple the north, cripple the economy, cripple the people. But I want to say here that there's no interest that is bigger than Nigeria and Nigerians. Whoever feels that because he wants to get 2015, he can cripple one particular region of the country, I think is making a huge mistake. You know, recently, our whole military base is being bombed, and the only thing we could do is just, we didn't even consider the shame and the embarrassment that as a country we're going through. All we could do is remove the people who are there, who are Muslims, and replace them with another religion. And we ended up adding, you know, petrol to an already burning fire. And then we went ahead and did promotions. And in the promotion, we also saw some people getting, you know, being more favored than the others. And we're at, you know, even people are now worried that the military, where, you know, we have the so-called unity, is being politicalized and is not something that we should just, you know, wave by the hand. And it is growing every day. Now, I was just reading the papers yesterday. They said even in immigration, you know, the employment, whatever, there's so much ethnicity that the DG ended up giving most of the slots to her husband and herself and leaving out, this is an allegation. Then when you look at the minister who oversees that particular parasita, talking about Comrade Abba Moro, you realize that he is a destabilized Nigerian and he's a comrade to the core who wanted things to work. So if we continue to divide this country along religious lines, along ethnic lines, we'll continue to have problems. If we don't have rule of law, if we don't have justice, if we don't have equity, if we don't have fair play, we'll continue to make the same mistakes. And the politicians will capitalize on that because they know it's a very sensitive issue and they capitalize on that. And you cannot go to Lagos and bomb a church or bomb a mosque and people will say, for what? The people who even want to go and bomb it will think twice and said, why am I going to do that? But because you are doing it in a region that you feel there's very little education and no economy, you can easily do that. I know that on our own part, we need to do more orientation and more sensitization so that people don't see this whole issue as a religious issue. And I think the interface should go to the grassroots level where people don't see their fellow Christians or their fellow Muslims as unbelievers, and they should continue to dialogue so that and ask the right questions and we move ahead. Now, let me come to Sheikh Khalid. It's good to see you here again. We always meet at Vision FM where I also run a program, and most times, we talk for a couple of minutes before you go in for your program. Incidentally, my own program is before your own. Now, let me ask Madam here. I know it's a very commendable and very laudable initiative, bringing women, But when you talked about having two matrons, patrons, you have Maitama Sule and Edwin Clark. Observers see Edwin Clark that he's an associate of the president. Are you not worried that people will look at it? Is it another political party targeted for 2015? Because people said that the political class realized that 50% or more than 50% of voters are women. And, they're saying that people outside will now say, are you trying to garner support in the area of women for 2015? Because we have seen the Women for Change initiative. They said it is non-political, it is non-profit and whatever. But we see it metamorphosed into a political party. We saw the kind of role it played. Even though they said, no, it didn't play that role, we saw that it played. So are you not worried with the impression that you get at the end of the day? Yeah. Thank you.
Apostle Eunice, I'll come with you as I ask you to proffer a way out of this. I'll come by asking you to comment on this. Some people say, look, the problem is that we have too much religion and we are just godless. You have religion, but you don't have enough godliness. And these are two different things. People profess a religion and, in their hearts. And we have seen good people who are not Christians, who are not Muslims.
Not religious.
So, do we have too much religion here?
Well, I believe that it's not about too much religion. It's what you call religion. People come out with different kinds of avenues to see their religions. There is no godliness. The God factor is very absent in the whole religious quote-unquote affairs. You see mosques everywhere, you see churches everywhere, but you just begin to wonder, where is God in all of this? And I believe that, life of example, if we preach love, we preach forgiveness, and we live out the life, it is evident. And our greatest problem is the hypocrisy and the fact that there's nothing to show for it. That has been too long on the line in our country. There's need for true change, practical change. Everybody, personal repentance, we all need it in the country. And that will go a long way to the victory for change.
Okay. Nigeria, it's the solution is not in guns and bombs and
yes. The whole of the issue, to me, on religion side, I don't want to go there.
Okay, but it's not guns either.
Yes, it's not even gone.
Okay.
But I don't think it's about religion.
Okay.
We're talking about practical things, law.
No. Okay.
If a Muslim says this or a Christian says this, what is the law? Okay. But we're saying, let's go back to the basics. These mistakes that is killing us, how do we address them? How do we turn back the hands of the clock? We're saying, look, our leaders, the people of Nigeria needs to be sorry. Let's go back. Let's go back and bring everybody back on board and wash ourselves. By the time we do that, these laws will take its place.
Can I ask something? Who should make the first move? Is it the leaders or the led?
We are asking the leaders, the system. We are saying, look, give a grace. What Yar'Adua did, let's take on the art of Yar'Adua, what he did to the Niger Delta. Let's do it to Nigeria. Let me tell you one thing. When we demanded for amnesty, even if it was hijacked and people are making a lot of money inside of it, we are now saying, no, it was because the program was not followed to the latter.
Okay.
We are saying what will take us back, what will bring us back as a people is forgiveness. Let's go back to that amnesty proposal. People did not come out bringing out their guns because they didn't want to be called repentant militants and several things. We are saying, Nigeria, give an acceptance. How many guns do we have in this country? Why can't we take these guns off and use these people and let's see who will break the law? We are saying, look, it is easy that in less than 1 year, we can remove all these guns that has come to separate us. That's what we're saying. We have the civil defense. We say we have a program that by the time you give a grace and a certain time, anybody who does not come out for this grace, we the people will go after you. You don't have to head.
Okay.
And the law will take its place.
You believe that the majority are quite capable of putting a stop to this?
When I went to Kaduna, they told me, look, the people doing these things are very little people. We know them. In Jos, they told me, we didn't know we can come out to tell these people don't do this. They came out with excitement. The people are ready to come out. The government is spending too much of money on security. And these security people does not want these things to end, so they must motivate these things to make them look as if they are working. We are saying, look, give us a grace. Pronounce a grace. We will take these boys, we will go to these people, we will meet them. They are in our communities. They are in our towns and villages. We will meet them, we will work with them. Then let us see the spirit that will come and do these things. Whether you want to rig election, let's do a practical thing. It's not about religion, it is about law.
Okay.
Let us go back to the law. Let us say the truth about what has taken us this far. Let us come back and give a grace to everybody, and you will see what will happen to this country.
And it is on that note we must leave it for tonight.
Yes.
And would like to say very big thank you to His Eminence John Cardinal Onayeko, the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja. Thank you so much, Your Eminence.
Thank you. Good night, viewers. Happy Christmas once again.
Okay. Sheikh Muhammad Nuru Khalid, Chief Imam Apo Legislative Quarters Mosque, we'd like to say a big thank you to you for coming on this program. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you very much. Viewers, may the Almighty bless you all.
Okay, and for Apostle Eunice Gordon Osagede, General Overseer Spirit of Life Bible Church Worldwide, and initiator Women in the New Nigeria, we'd like to thank you for being here too. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Erekusima Onegia, Coordinator, President, Foundation for Peace and Nonviolence. We'd like to say a big thank you to you too.
Yeah, we appreciate. We have promised the world peace for all in Nigeria. We will get there. Thank you.
And to my friends, notwithstanding those who lost their chickens, I say thank you very much for being part of this program as usual. Thank you for being here. And for all our viewers who've stayed with us and who have been with us every step of the way on NTA Tuesday Live, we say thank you very much.